What is up, my ninjas? Shinobi here, and today we're going to be talking about the Frost Death Knight in Legion, some of the changes that have gone on recently, and also a build that I've been using for about a week now that is just a force to be reckoned with. You become a Frost God with the AoE madness, and there's a lot of iterations you can make to the build, so we're going to be talking about those in this video. Now, at the point of recording this video right now, all this footage you're seeing is from today, because today Frost DK's actually got a big damage buff in a lot of different areas, which is something a lot of people were saying was needed for the Frost DKs because it's been underperforming below the Unholy DK, the Unholy Death Knight. Now, for a long time, Unholy has been kind of the way to go in raids. You know, Frost has had its moments here and there over the years, but Frost is so fun in Legion, and I really wanted this to get better and better, so I decided to put together a build that would be really strong and see how good it would be, and then Blizzard comes out with these buffs, and it's like, okay, now this is just really freaking sick. So I gotta share this stuff with you guys. I've been loving my DK. I've been mainly doing a lot of tanking, but I've been loving Frost, and I'm gonna be definitely spending a lot more time on Frost now because this is lots and lots of fun. So I'm gonna go over everything in this video. If you're brand new to DKs, if you're, you know, maybe it's a little bit more experienced player, whatever it is it may be, we're gonna go through pretty much everything for you here. So this may be a longer video, so hold tight and we'll get through pretty much everything here. I'm gonna go over some of the spells. I'm gonna go over some of the spells that are like the most important for you. I'm going to show you a little bit of how I do the rotation and how the combat works. I'm going to be talking about the talents, going to be talking about the artifact relic journey for you, and all that sort of stuff. But first off, before we get into all of that, you see some gameplay going on in the background, doing some mythic dungeons. Now, there are some strengths and weaknesses towards the DK. Now, do I think that Frost is better for raiding than Unholy is? No, probably not. Unholy is going to be just more of your raiding type of spec, your go-to spec for raiding. However, Frost is definitely more of a contender in that area now. Frost is all about the burst damage, and if you have a short fight like 10 seconds, 12 seconds, 15 seconds, you can put a lot of damage in that amount of time, whereas Unholy is more of that sustained ramp up that starts to become pretty crazy after a while. So that's why raiding is going to be better for Unholy, but as far as DKs go, their strengths come in with the Mythic dungeons and Mythic Plus dungeons. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video here. Now, as far as weaknesses go for this kind of spec and the Frost DK in general, single target is kind of a little bit of a weakness for you. You can still do a decent amount of single target with the Frost DK. If you can make some iterations to your setup, to your build, which we're going to talk about, that are going to enable you to do a little bit better in the single target there. But for me, when I'm doing Mythic Plus dungeons and I get into some groups and we're doing Mythic Plus 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, I've done up to about 5 so far with the Frost DK, topping the damage meters against Windwalker monks, demon hunters, mages, and they were higher eye level than me. Just the kind of bursts that you can put out and the kind of AoE stuns that you can bring in and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's definitely really strong for Mythic Plus. So if you're just wanting to do Mythics, you just want to do Mythic Plus dungeons, Frost DK is the route to go for that. You're going to be a little bit lackluster on the bosses within those dungeons if you go full AoE spec. Then, but if you have a good composition for your group, then, you know, for instance, you have some good single target DPS in there, and you're mainly the AoE guy, you know, it's very important because the trash mobs take up the majority of the time in these Mythic Plus dungeons, just like in a Greater Rift, where you got to be efficient with killing the trash, save yourself some time so you can do the bosses in a, you know, quarterly fashion. So let's go ahead and get into the game now and show you guys some of what I'm talking about here and how this kind of interacts and all that sort of stuff. Alright, here we are in game, guys. For people that are more new to the DKs, because I'm seeing a lot of people making some re-rolls because of nerfs and buffs and things like that that have been done to classes. So if you're a little newer to the DK, I'm going to run through some of the spells that we have here, and then we're going to talk a little bit more heavily about those spells. So here we go. First off, Anti-Magic Shell is just going to be a magic damage reduction, help you out there in that kind of clutch moment if you get hit by something you stood in by accident, or you get hit by some kind of fire or something like that, or some magic ability. Anti-Magic Shell is so good for that. Chains of Ice can give you a little bit of a slow there, mainly for a PvP type thing, but there are some situations in Mythic Plus that are really good, like when you're when they rally troops in the Halls of Valor on the last boss there, when you're doing those 4 guys, you can, you know, Chains of Ice those guys, pretty nice. Control Undead, pretty good for, you don't really have much use for it, but as far as Blackrook Hold goes, those guys are undead in there, so you can control one of those guys, so it's definitely useful for that in your Mythic or Mythic Plus dungeons you're doing. Dark Command, you're never really going to use that because you're not tanking, but if you need to help the healer, help the tank out to grab some stuff, I mean, you can always use that. It gives you a little taunt. Death Gate, that's going to bring you back to your class hall, you know that already. And Death Grip is going to help you with, to give you a pull. Very useful actually, Mythic Plus. Even though you're not the tank, Death Grip is very nice. When I play with my Pally tank friend or my Demon Hunter tank friend, and we need to LOS pull, sometimes there'll be, you know, an arrow guy that's shooting us from far away, or somebody that we don't have a silence up for, like a caster, and I can just grab him and pull him in. The idea with the whole AoE build is you want to stack all the mobs on top of each other, just like in Greater Rifts in Diablo 3, and you just want to boom, AoE them all down. So the Death Grip's going to help you with kind of compacting that a little bit, for sure. Death Strike, you don't really need to use Death Strike. This is a runic spender. You don't need to use it. It's only something you're going to use if you're like really low in health, your healer can't quite heal you, and you don't want to die. This is going to give you a little bit of a heal, but you don't really have to worry about using this at all. Empower Rune Weapon, this is going to free up some runes for you, so you can do a lot of burst damage in either AoE or in single target using things like Frost Scythe or Obliterate for your single target. So keep that in mind. That is very nice for giving you some added burst and freeing up those slots for you. Frost Strike, this is going to be your runic spender for single target. It's also going to enable you to do some other things that we're going to talk about in a little bit, but this is when your bar fills up here, you're going to be wanting to spend that stuff on Frost Strike. Now, I wish there was an AoE spender for DKs. That would be awesome. There kind of is, but it's not good. And I wish if there was an AoE spender, like a Frost Strike that's like an AoE, oh my god, it would be so good, but maybe too overpowered, who knows. Frost Scythe here, this is one of your talents. We're going to talk more in depth about this. Very strong. The AoE madness, you're going to see some of that soon, so I'm not going to explain too much right now. Howling Blast, pretty much you're only going to be using Howling Blast to spread your Frost Fever, and whenever it procs and you get the guaranteed crits off of that, that's the only time you're pretty much going to be using it. A lot of people, they think that Frost DKs are bad for AoE because they're sitting there spamming Howling Blast and saying, how come I'm doing such bad damage? It's because Howling Blast sucks. Plain and simple. It just sucks. If they wanted to make Howling Blast a lot better, they could, but then we would have no reason for Frost Scythe. So, you know, because they both cost 1 rune, use your Howling Blast just to spread your Frost Fever, like I said, and to help you get a little bit of, because this does actually build runic power, so sometimes use it as a filler as well. That's another thing. Icebound Fortitude, going to give you some damage reduction and help you get out of stuns. Very important. Then you also have Mind Freeze. Use this very often in the Mythic dungeons. I see so many people that do not interrupt spells, and in the Mythic dungeons and Mythic Plus dungeons, majority of the stuff you either just need to not stand in shit, or you need to interrupt stuff. That's pretty much that's like 50% of the difficulty right there in these dungeons. So use Mind Freeze on cooldown whenever you can interrupt something, or the priority things that you need to interrupt. But Mind Freeze is huge. You should use it. And your group should use it too. Use their interrupts as well. Obliterate, like I talked about before, this is going to cost you 2 runes, but this is your heavy single target damage ability here. So super important for you. You have Obliteration, which we're going to talk about in a minute because that is in the talents. Then we also have Path of Frost. It's going to enable you to, walk on water. But at the same time, make sure you use this in places like the Lair Mythic Dungeon and a couple other places where there is water involved. You can speed up some time by using Path of Frost. A lot of DKs forget to use it. Pillar of Frost. This is a huge thing, big damage boost for you here, and it's going to couple in with some talents and some other spells, so we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Raise Ally, use this as well. This is something that actually, this is a battle res right here. If your healer goes down and you're on the Cordana fight or something like that in Vault of the Wardens, res your healer with this. It's great. I mean, yeah, it's a 10-minute cooldown, but I mean, we've completed so many Mythic dungeons and Mythic Plus dungeons faster and get better times because somebody died from something stupid, and then I was able to res them and we finished. You know, you don't want to have to like wipe the whole group and then start over again. It's just use this. I see a lot of people that are afraid to use this. Don't be afraid to use it. Remorseless Winter going to give you some AoE damage, and it costs 1 rune, which is the 1 rune doesn't really matter. It's more of a cooldown than anything. Definitely very strong. It's going to couple in with some of your other stuff soon. This is an AoE effect here, and it also reduces the move speed of mobs, which is really nice for stacking them and keeping them in that area, as well as other things we'll talk about. Our rune forging, so on our weapons, we are going to go with Rune of Razor Ice and 1 Rune of Fallen Crusader, because you want to get that strength percentage buff, and you also just want to get that Razor Ice buff on there from time to time. I haven't messed around to see what's the most optimal, if you go with 2 Razor Ice or you go with, I haven't really run the numbers on that, but, if I do figure out some more information in the future, I'll let you know. Then you have Sindragosa's Fury. This is the best AoE spell in the game. It is ridiculous. It is so good. However, it is a 5-minute cooldown. This is something that's going to go through your artifact relic journey that you're going through. So we'll talk more about this in a minute. But yeah, so good. And then we have Wraithwalk. Wraithwalk going to get you into some snares and things like that, and get you some movement speed. If you don't have time to mount up, or you're in an area where you can't mount up and you need to move a little quicker so you can get with your group to kill the next pack or something like that, Wraithwalk is definitely important for that. Or if you need to, for instance, on Halls of Valor, when you're going against the last boss and you got to get out of that big thing he's going to do, he's like, the DBM goes, "Run away, little girl," you have to run away and get out. Wraithwalk will help you do that. So keep in mind that you do have this. A lot of people forget that they have this. Then we have some of our passives and everything like that. Killing Machine is mainly the one that you want to be looking at here. Your auto attack critical strikes have a chance to obliterate your next to make your next obliterate automatically critical strike. Huge. Killing Machine is very strong. Your mastery for the blood DK, for the frost DK, is going to be frost damage increase. I have quite a bit right now. That's something I'm working on, and we'll talk more about that in a sec. Then you have, you have your Rhyme, and this is when your Obliterate has a 45% chance to cause your next Howling Blast to consume no runes and deal 300% additional damage. This is what I was talking about before. When you see your Howling Blast flash, that's when you're going to push it. You're going to use it as a builder for your runic power, and you're going to use it as applying, as a filler and applying that Frost Fever. But other than that, your main AoE is going to be coming from Frost Scythe and a few other things we'll talk about in a minute. Now, another thing that I want to talk about a little bit is your stat priority. This one's a little bit of a fickle one because there are different ways about going with this. If you're going straight up AoE and that's it, I mean, crit mastery is super good. That's why my AoE is a lot better. But haste is very important to get those runes back quicker, to be able to do more sustain-wise throughout the entire fight. For just straight up burst, crit mastery is the way to go, like just 100% burst. But if you got these longer fights, then haste is your priority. So your main priorities are haste, crit, and mastery. But don't focus too much on mastery. I'd say mainly go for haste and crit, and then get a little bit into mastery. You want to at least get your crit to about 20%. Try to get your haste to about 20%. Mine's definitely lacking. I've just been getting unlucky as far as some of the rolls that I'm getting here. But yeah, I'm trying to get that. I mean, I have some stuff that's like crit haste like this, but I get unlucky and I get like the majority in crit and a little bit in haste or something. So let's go ahead and take a look at the talents and go over all those. So, taking a look at the talents here, you have Shattering Strikes, Icy Talons, and Murderous Efficiency. All three of these are pretty decent. However, Icy Talons is great because Frost Strike is going to increase your melee attack speed by 10% for 6 seconds, stacking 3 times. It's going to give you a 30% attack speed increase, which is quite nice. You have something like Shattering Strikes, which enables your Frost Strikes to do an additional 40% damage. I think overall the attack speed is just too good to not to give up on it, but Shattering Strikes is pretty nice as well. Do some testing of yourself. Let me know what you think about that. I haven't done enough testing with both of them to really full out give you my full opinions on them. Then we also have Murderous Efficiency. Consuming the Killing Machine effect has a 50% chance to cause you to gain 1 rune. This is not really something that's that necessary. It's nice to give you a little bit of added burst. Like I said, giving up 30% attack speed is not something you want to be doing, but it does couple nicely with Obliteration, which we're going to talk about in a second. But yeah, that's pretty much my opinion. Go with Icy Talons. Then we have Freezing Fog and Frozen Pulse here. These are your two kind of choices. However, Freezing Fog here, Howling Blast and Frost Fever deal 25% increased damage. Now, Howling Blast, like I said, is not going to be your damage dealer, so you don't really care too much about that, and you're not going to be, getting your rhyme often enough to make this really worth it. But on top of that, Frozen Pulse is going to, well, you have no runes, your auto attacks eradicate or radiate, sorry, radiate intense cold, inflicting a lot of frost damage around. It's going to help you out with some damage there. I've messed around with both of these. I both like them kind of equally, but the damage, the 25% damage increase you get the Frost Fever is not as much damage as you would get from Frozen Pulse, so if that's the kind of kicker there, but if you are noticing that you're getting your Howling Blast to happen more often, some added damage from Howling Blast isn't a bad thing, but Frozen Pulse is kind of the way I go with this. Now these last talents here, these are really just set in stone for me. Avalanche, super awesome. While Pillar of Frost is active, your melee critical strikes cause jagged icicles to fall on nearby enemies, dealing 16,406 frost damage. Avalanche is one of your highest damage, AoE damage that you're going to get. Same with Frozen Pulse. This is just some added on AoE damage that you're going to get, and I'm going to show you some examples here in a minute. Then we have Winter is Coming. Enemies struck 5 times by Remorseless Winter, which is this right here we talked about before. That AoE that you're going to get frozen, and for 4 seconds, which is really nice when you're in Mythic Plus dungeons and going against things like Bolster, where you want to AoE everything down equally, and then boom, you hit your Remorseless Winter, you get those stuns off on everybody, and they're just all frozen and stunned, and you just finish them off before they get the effect of bolsters, and then you move on to the next group. And you can do it so often too. I mean, 20-second cooldown on Remorseless Winter, so good. I mean, Winter is coming, it's great. AoE stun, amazing. Then we have Permafrost here, pretty much just your best choice. When you deal damage with auto attacks, remember you're going to be doing that often because of Icy Talons. Gain an Absorb Shield equal to 30% of the damage dealt. Not bad, helps you out a little bit of survivability in those kind of AoE situations, that kind of unavoidable damage situations. Now Volatile Shielding is okay if you're going to be encountering a lot of spell damage, but, most often, Permafrost is going to be the way to go. Then we have here these 3 right here. Now, Frost Scythe is amazing. This only costs 1 rune. The range on it is pretty decent, actually, an 8-yard range. And it's going to hit everything around for a lot of damage, but then when it crits, it's going to hit for 4 times the damage. So it's massive damage. This is your highest damage AoE spell that you have. And it's also going to trigger other things as well, which is really nice. Now moving on, we have these 3 down here. I used Breath of Sindragosa for a while. Technically, this is your only runic power spender in an AoE, but it's not that good, and it drains your runic power too fast, and it can mess up your rotations really crappy, because if you need to, pump out some single targets, you got to get down this spellcaster before it kills your healer or something like that, or it kills your tank. Breath of Sindragosa, it did get a buff in this newest patch, this hotfix, but I just feel like it's not currently in the best place yet. 13 runic power per second. It is a lot of damage. If you're going for full AoE, I don't know. Haven't had good results for it. I feel like it kind of puts you in an awkward position where you need to spend some of that runic power, and because you triggered something else and you can't, and that's unfortunate. You don't want to keep your options open. The two choices for me are Glacial Advance and Obliteration. I've tested both of these quite intensely. And Glacial Advance is great. I mean, a 14-second cooldown, it only costs 1 rune, and it does a lot of damage. When this crits, it's like 400k crit on each thing. Now, it's not very good for single target, because it is going to cost you a rune, so you would rather hit something like Obliterate, that's going to do more for you. But the thing is that Glacial Advance is really, really good if you're going strictly AoE, and I'm talking strictly AoE. If you're in a group and there is, they're like, okay, you're the AoE guy, we don't care if you do shit damage on the boss, we need you full AoE. Glacial Advance is a way to go for that. It's definitely a good choice, even if you're not going full AoE, but Obliteration just helps a lot, because for the next 8 seconds, every Frost Strike hit triggers Killing Machine, and Obliterate costs 1 less rune. This enables you to get some actual decent single target. I can hit about 200k plus single target, maybe 300k single target with Bloodlust up. And Obliteration is going to help with that. The only downside is a 1.5 minute cooldown. You can't use it as often as Glacial Advance, but Glacial Advance also does get in the way with you doing some other damage as well, because you don't want to use a Glacial Advance instead of using a Frost Scythe that crits or something like that. It's good though. I mean, you can go either way. You really can go either way. But let me know what you think about those two choices and what your experiences are on those. But I'm bouncing back and forth between those. If you're doing... So what I like to do is, if I do a dungeon, a Mythic Plus dungeon or a Mythic dungeon that has a lot of bosses, then I'll go with Obliteration. Like if I'm doing like Vault of the Wardens that has like 5 bosses, I'll use Obliteration. If I'm gonna do a dungeon like, for instance, Maw of Souls only has 3 bosses, and you're mainly just gonna be AoEing the whole time, then Glacial Advance is gonna help you with that. So those are my thoughts on that stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at the some of these examples of things that I've talked about so far, and kind of show you what's going on. Alright, so we have our 3 target dummies here. This is only 3 target dummies, okay? This isn't something that's a crazy amount of target dummies. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit this. You see that I procced right here. So now I'm going to hit my Pillar of Frost and my Remorseless Winter, and then we're just going to hit our Frost Scythe like crazy here. Okay, and then we're just going to build up, then we're going to spend for the Frost Strike, and then we're going to just get right back in there. And then here we go again. I'm getting quite a few procs here. Remorseless Winter coming back up again. And then now we're gonna use this. Now we're gonna use our single target. And so we're just switching to single target. Let's say there's only 1 guy left. So you can see I was hitting up to about 500k DPS, and I was going kind of slow there. So almost 500k DPS for a cleave 3 target, very strong. And my character is, I mean, he's 850. He's not the strongest. I do need a lot more haste. I haven't been getting too lucky with rolls, but it's not without using a flask. That's without, you know, group benefits and things like that. Like for instance, Bloodlust in that situation would be nuts. It'd be like 600-700k DPS. Be insane. You just be like pretty much holding Frost Scythe down. So good. But yeah, that's kind of an example of that, of what the AoE looks like in that situation. Alright, so let's go ahead, and this time I'm going to go in, I'm going to use my cooldowns, and I'm just going to go full out myself and not, you know, not try to go a little bit faster, and show you a little bit of what this can look like here. So we're going to pop this first, then we had that little crit, so we're going to pop everything here. We're going to go ham. When we run out of runes, we're going to hit our Empower. And you can see that we're getting some good damage in here. 500k we just hit, and we're going to wait for that, then we're going to hit that. And then, you know, we want to make sure you can throw in some Frost Strikes in there. You don't want to be building up your runic power without, you know, without having that. So here we go, we got it again. This is going to make my Obliterates cost less. You can see that we're getting quite a bit of damage here. like I said, no flash or anything like that. Let's take a look at some of the damage chart. You can see Frost Scythe is doing majority of the damage, like 50% of the damage. Avalanche, that talent we talked about, doing considerable amount of damage. That's like a 50k damage increase there. And like that's only 3 targets though. I mean, you have 4, 5, 6 targets in a group. That's very strong. Frost Fever giving you a little bit added damage. Frozen Pulse as well, and Remorseless Winter giving you some damage. So that's, you see a lot of different AoE abilities coming in there for you. Very, 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 very strong. So let's go ahead and talk about the little journey you're going to be going on here, and that is in your runic weapon. Now you can see that my character is only 16 right now. I haven't put a lot into this because I've spent a lot of time on my blood DK. My blood DK is like 20 or something like that, and I've also put a little bit into Unholy as well. But this is only going to get better, okay? So the single target that I do is about 200k, like I said, and then when you have, you know, Bloodlust or something, it's like 300k. I was doing one of the world bosses. I was the second highest damage in the world boss fight that we did that just came out today. And then, you know, your AoE is insane. So this stuff's only going to get better over time. However, your journey in the first position, getting all the way up to Sindri Ghost's Fury, is actually quite good. You get a lot of good stuff in there, giving you attack speed increase, giving you Obliterate and Frost Scythe critical strike damage, which is huge. Pillar of Frost doing 10% more damage. They're increasing armor, which is and then you have your increasing damage dealt by Remorseless Winter. Now, unfortunately, I need better runes. My runes are not very good for this guy, and it's hard to... Runes are tough. I mean relics, sorry. I need better relics. Relics are kind of tough for getting the right ones for you. You mainly want to focus on eye level because that's going to be a big damage boost overall. You know, if you can get high eye level relics and they're beneficial to you, like for instance, you know, maybe one like this giving you more there, or maybe over here, you know, you just kind of have to see what you can get, but I mean, you can't really be too picky on that at this point in the game. Later on, you're going to be min-maxing that a little bit more. Moving into Sindri Ghost's Fury, I talked about this before, the best damage, AoE damage ability in the game. Now, the only downside is that it is a 5-minute cooldown, and yeah, you're not going to be able to use it very often, but if you're thinking in a Mythic Plus dungeon, you're going to use this maybe 4 or 5 times in a Mythic Plus dungeon, maybe a little bit less depending on how quickly you're going. I never use Sindri Ghost's Fury like against like 2 mobs or 3 mobs or something like that. If, for instance, you're in a very strong group and you guys pick up like 2 packs of elites, when you're doing that, that's a perfect time to use Sindri Ghost's Fury because you're going to do a massive amount of damage. You're going to be up to like 1.5, 2 million DPS like right off the bat. And it's going to be huge. It's going to blow everything up, do a lot of damage, and really help get the fight going. But yeah, super, super powerful AoE ability, and just pretty much a clear-cut thing for you to go, because you're not going to spend more time going all the way up here to get this, and then, you know, missing on Sindri Ghost's Fury. So definitely worth it to go this way first. Then next, what we're going to do is we're going to come from here to here, Cold as Ice, increasing all frost damage by 3%. Then we're going to be jumping up to Mirror Ball. Then we're going to be going over to here, which is increase offhand weapon damage dealt by Frost Strike and Obliterate. So this is going to be very nice for helping out with that single target. So like I said, the single target's going to get better. Don't worry. Don't be scared that you're going to get kicked out of your groups. Your single target's not that good. Like I said, maybe later on, Frost will be more capable for raiding in those long fights when you have a lot of haste stacked up, or and you're able to actually keep it going like pretty steadily, but like I said, Unholy is kind of the rating thing. But for dungeons and you know, Mythic Plus, Mythic Dungeons, you can be going this way. So then we're coming over to Hypothermia. Each time Frost Fever deals damage, it has a chance to erupt, dealing 100,000 frost damage to the target. Very nice. I'm not sure what the chances are for that. I haven't tried it out myself yet, but definitely going to be going up this way for that. Then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be coming up here. I'm going to be coming down towards Frozen Soul. So you're going to be getting Death Strike, heals you for 100%, while Icebound Fortitude is active. Obliterate has a 10% chance to generate 3 additional runic power. So this is what you're mainly going this way for. And then you're also going to get Frozen Soul. Remorseless Winter ends. Icebringer and Frost Reaper release a burst of frost damage, increased by 100% for each additional enemy hit during Remorseless Winter. So going to give you some more AoE burst, and you're going to get some benefit towards your Obliterate going this way. Then you're going to be left with this one, and this one when it's all said and done. This one's going to increase the damage of your Razor Ice Runeforge, which is like meh. Then it increases the range of your Frost Strike by 8 yards. Could be good for some fights. And then increasing damage by Howling Blast by 10%. Not really something you're really that worried about. It's some nice added AoE. A little bit if you do proc your rhyme, but nothing to really stress too much about. But like I said, for the the quick version of this, you're going to come all the way down to Sindragosa's Fury, then you're going to come up here, here, just like that. Then you're going to come here, here, and then get these when you can later on. And that's pretty much it. So that's pretty much the way you want to go there. Like I said, I'm going to be putting a lot more, because my artifact research is level 4 and it's almost level 5. I can easily put a lot of artifact power into this now and bump this up quickly. So in the future, I may show you an updated guide or an updated kind of way of me doing all this for the DK, and hopefully you guys found this video informative and it was helpful for you. Please share this video with your friends. A lot of people, they don't know the ways of the Frost DK and how good it is now, and a lot of people, they've been stuck playing Unholy for so long, and now they have an opportunity to try out some Frost. So show them this video, let them know that Frost is a force to be reckoned with, and so awesome in the dungeons especially. They're also really good in PvP, and they're getting there as far as the raids go. But I'll update that for you in the future, maybe if I do some raids and kind of show you how it looks. But I've been focusing mainly on the Mythic Plus, because they're essentially greater rifts. They're really fun, and I've definitely been doing really well with that so far throughout all of this. And like I said, guys, thanks for watching the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Share it, like it, comment, all that kind of stuff. If you did enjoy the video and you want to spread the message about the Frost DKs and how amazing they are and how awesome they are. And I can't wait to get into Mythic Plus. It's Tuesday. We're going to be doing more Mythic Plus this week. Going to be doing more Mythics. I'm going to be playing on my Shadow Priest. I'm also leveling up my Hunter. Got a lot of stuff going on for World of Warcraft. I've been playing this game for like 13 hours a day since I came back, and so for about 3 weeks, a month now, just literally every day play, and just having a blast with it. So check out the live stream channel, links in the description down below, as well as my Twitter and all that kind of stuff, so you can be notified when I go live or when I post a new video, and all that sort of stuff. But that's it for me, guys. Hope you found this useful, like I said, and until next time, my name is Shinobi, and thanks for watching.